Okay, so we have one mic, but you guys, there's a lot of theatrical kind of backgrounds here, so you can just feel free to just project. If you can't hear, then just say, hey, speak louder. This is nice. I kind of feel like I'm towering over you. This is good. It's a good feeling for me. Okay, so again, hashtag Confluence, con your questions or raise your hands. And we'll start with a few of these just to kind of get those juices flowing. And the idea really is that we don't really know exactly what it is that you need to hear about. And every one of us is here because we want to learn more, and we don't know what we don't know. So let's kind of get those questions, the ones that are really relevant to you. So, first question. What are some social media no-nos? That's a pretty nice, gentle intro. Let's start with Dana at the end here. I'm still going to give you that horsey bite, by the way. You're lucky you're not sitting next to me.
Oh, good, good. I think my biggest social media no-no is hitting the boost button on Facebook, which you just talked about. It's clients are like, oh yeah, I boosted that post. I'm like, no, you did nothing. You literally, like, you should have just taken somebody out for dinner. You would have got more money out of it. Like, it's so frustrating.
I want to dig so deep into this topic that it's not funny. I have so many questions around this. Can we just talk about this?
Boosting is we want our stock price to go up on Facebook. Like, literally, that is the entire point of boosting. It's like the same thing as Google AdWords. When the AdWords people call you, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna help you optimize your campaign. And it's literally a waste of money. And I have actually told a client in the past that they would be better off taking one of their clients out for a nice dinner. They would probably get a referral out of that, which is more business they would have got out of their crappy AdWords campaign or Facebook boosting.
So why is it a waste of money?
Because there's no targeting at all. It's just random people on the internet, you know, just go for it. There's zero targeting, there's zero intent behind it. It's like when we were talking about, you know, buying TV ads and buying radio ads, you know, and we have nicknamed that spray and pray, right? And so you hope that maybe the person who might be interested in your thing happens to see the ad in that moment and is actually engaged with it. There's zero thought behind it.
Right.
Facebook donate button.
Donate to Facebook button, yes.
Buy us a beer.
And what do you guys make in a similar vein of, what do you guys make of likes, paid likes?
Oh. Yeah, I'll jump on here on this one. Page likes pretty much are dead. I see them as two possible reasons to have page likes. It's the only two for the like ads. One, if you're a brand new page and you want to have some kind of reputation in the slightest. If you're a B2B at least, you're not going to make a whole lot of sales if you have like one like and it's probably your mom. That number's up to you, whatever. I'm not going to argue if 10 is good or 100 is good, whatever. That's the only reason for just kind of to be looked at as someone who's, you know, doesn't have one. The other way that we could do it is that most of your fan page likes, not all of them, most of them, it should be taken as someone who has at some point said, I want to hear more information about you. And so the only way that I see that the page likes actually truly mattering is that if you're a small business, you have 1,000 Facebook page fans, use your ads manager to actually promote something, whatever it is, to those people only, because only 4% of them are seeing them. The other 95.9, did I just do that math? They're not seeing it. So maybe get those page likes and show it to them. But yeah, that's the only two reasons I ever see a page like actually mattering.
Expand on that?
Dana.
We do use page like ads. We're actually running one now targeted at people at Oklahoma City who have visited our website. Guys. So, but we run, most of our Facebook clients have $1 a day remarketing Facebook-like campaigns. And then some of our clients are limited in that they cannot advertise on Facebook. One of our clients is a sex toy store, and she can't advertise on Facebook, but she can run likes campaigns, and so we do that all day. And then we do really aggressive like campaigns only on remarketing audiences, never just out there in the general world, right before we do a big push for a new product or an event, because recent fans are more likely to organically see a post than old-time fans. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out like campaigns. I thought you said paid likes when you first said that.
I did actually say
you said paid likes. Okay, paid likes. Why would you even ever do that? Like buying likes, like going on Fiverr? Look, this is like trying to outsmart Google, okay? Do you really think Facebook doesn't understand that people go out and pay for likes? I mean, come on, guys. There's almost the only...
I meant doing it through Facebook. I didn't mean
okay. All right. Sorry. I'm cutting off the rant. I'm stopping the rant.
Sorry.
We have actually a client, we had a client that's in the pharmaceutical industry, a pharmaceutical that's legal in Washington, but not here. It grows in a plant, you know, has it. Paid likes, page like campaigns were the only way to do it.
Right.
So.
And just to add to that, I would just recommend that you do a lot of good segmentation and try to, even with your like campaigns, put in as much effort into the segmentation as you would.
So let's dive into this a little bit and then dive into how we retarget to, you know, how we send those likes only to people through retargeting, because I think that bears elaboration. So how do we segment effectively for our audience in Facebook?
So that's where I think you can do a lot with the custom audiences. You would try to look at different types of behaviors, like have they bought quite often? Do they buy only one type of product? So if I was Sephora, right? I sold makeup and clothes and, no, not clothes, what do they sell? Makeup brushes, perfumes, makeup. So I would put an ad for...
My wife goes there all the time.
Yes.
I know a lot about Sephora. Yeah.
So I would say that, all right, people buy perfumes a lot, but they're not buying anything else. So maybe I'll just do my like campaign with the different perfumes and so on. So keep them engaged through their behaviors, what they do on your website.
And the same thing goes for anything that you would boost as well, right? You would do it trying to laser target your audience.
We wouldn't boost.
You wouldn't boost, okay.
Instead of boosting, I don't know, am I louder without the mic? Instead of boosting, do dark posts, do something like that. And for custom audiences, how many people here have used custom audiences? Do you know how they work? You can upload email addresses to Facebook, and then you can do what's called a lookalike audience. So you can say, show your ads to people like the people in these email addresses, which I know is horrifying, but just get used to it. They know everything about you anyway. And so you can just go ahead and use that. And if you have a good active email list, it's a very powerful way to do highly targeted marketing on Facebook.
Could we just talk a little bit about dark posts? I'm ignorant. I don't know what dark posts are. Yeah, I follow Mike King's Twitter, so I don't have time for anything else.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Someone else want to talk dark posts?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Dark posts are amazing. So when we're done here, go sign up for Facebook Business Manager and get your pages all set up in that, because it'll make it a lot easier. One of the issues, for example, if you have a Facebook pixel and then it's assigned to somebody's like personal Facebook account and then they leave the company and, oh, whoops, now you don't have a pixel anymore. So sign up in Facebook Business Manager and then learn how to use the Power Editor. And it changes like on a weekly basis, the layout of it, but it's awesome and it's super powerful. Like last night, I set up a dark social campaign for a client, testing 4 different types of ads with, I think it was 6 different types of audiences, and it took me like 10 minutes because I already knew what I was going to target when I got in there. So dark social means that this post will not appear on the Facebook page. Instead, it will only appear to the people who you want to show it to. So you can say, I only want to show this ad, this is for a bridal show last night, I only want to show this ad to women between the ages of 22 and 32 who are engaged, and I can't remember what they like Sephora. And that was one of the audiences. And then another one was men engaged to men in that same age group in specific cities in Alberta. And it had that very different graphics for them than it did for the women. And then we also have a post for the dudes about picking the right tux. And so they have a very manly, sort of post as opposed to the nice ladies in dresses. But the thing is that you can test all different kinds of creative. And so I would recommend that when you do start getting into dark posting, like don't just post one thing, try 4 different things. And so usually we'll say to our art director, here's what I want to do. I want to run a campaign where somebody tags their bestie that they're going to bring to the show. And so we'll do 4 different photos with the same text. After about 6 to 8 hours, we'll know which photo is the best, and then we'll shut off the other ones that aren't performing. And then we'll run that photo with different copy to see if that works better. And then you end up segmenting really rapidly, and really each segmentation, each A/B test, you could say like $20 per round, and so you end up spending less than $100, and then you start to have this really laser-focused idea of who your audience is. And then at that point, when you've got a cost per acquisition that you're happy with, then you can start to expand and use things like lookalike audiences. And if you're not using custom audiences on Facebook now, like you need to start doing that, because your competitors are for sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure, dark posts are posts that don't show up in your newsfeed. They don't show up in your company's page as newsfeed. They show up everywhere else. I just want to make sure that was.
Okay. Briefly, advertising on there are other social media outlets. Advertising on Twitter, LinkedIn. How do we feel about these?
Pinterest.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Except it's not available in Canada. I can't even tell you how mad that makes me.
Yeah, who cares about Canada? America. No, there's a lot of talk going on right now about the Instagram launching their ad platforms, and I know some huge, enormous businesses have been able to do them, Best Buy and a few others, but the date that just kind of came out in the last few days is September 30th. Ads are going to be available for every user in Instagram September 30th, which to marketers, depending on what industry you're in or what vertical you're going into, could be pretty big.
Pinterest.
Oh, sorry.
No, give it to Dana.
Hunger Games.
No, take it.
All right. And again, it depends on your audience. So I'm a huge sort of segmentation and remarketing geek. So you'll hear me say that a lot. So LinkedIn is really good, obviously, for B2B. You want to truly look at the demographics of the social network before you try to pick which one, but test them to see what works.
Also Pinterest.
Yes.
I have.
Yes, Pinterest
Ian
is
likes
really
Pinterest.
good. Yeah.
I realize I haven't introduced you. You've met everybody else here on the panel already. Perna works at Bing. What's your title again? It's quite long.
It's the longest title in the world, I think. I am the Senior Client Development and Training Manager at Bing.
Yes.
Bing Ads. So, yeah.
At Microsoft.
At Microsoft.
Yes. So here she is, and you're going to hear more from her later. I'm sorry I didn't introduce
all
her.
right.
The Queen would be mortified.
Let me expand on that. Okay, so one of my favorite tricks is to start off with, say, a LinkedIn ad and say, I want to target everybody with job titles, this job title. But LinkedIn is really crap at things like age, for example. So we'll start off and drive a bunch of people to, and LinkedIn ads, by the way, are very expensive click-wise, but they convert so much better than other stuff. So I'm way more likely to get email addresses out of a LinkedIn campaign than I would out of, say, a Facebook campaign. And then I take those emails and I make a custom audience in Facebook with them. But we'll take a page that we know we've driven, for example, Twitter or LinkedIn to, so we have one set of demographics, and then we'll run it through Facebook as segment. I would say remarket this page, but I only want to show it to people who meet this demographic criteria who visited this page. And then you just kind of segment it down even further, and you start to funnel it until you have the smallest possible audience who's probably highly targeted and very interested in the product. And then you go from there.
Okay, so let's move on to content. If I had to choose, should I invest in social media or content marketing? And this is from My OKC Life, which is an old television show, I think.
Can I start twitching a little?
Yeah.
Twitch a little.
Yes.
What's the difference between content and social media? Like what marketing happens without content? This is why I hate the content marketing moniker.
Can everybody hear Ian okay when he's without mic?
Oh, sorry. What marketing happens without content? I don't like the term content marketing. I don't understand it. Social media is content. If you're going to do content marketing, you need to include social media because that is content. That's all I got.
You're going to love our content marketing block later.
Yeah.
That was yesterday. Anyway.
Because how will you amplify your content if you don't use social media
There's
anyway?
one for you, too.
We have an extra one every time we answer a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can keep that one.
All right, I'll hang on to this. I don't think it's a good idea to hand this to me, though. I'll just hang on to it. Yeah, well, and content, going back to my brand presentation, brand is everything and content is everything. And content doesn't just include like the stuff that you write, but it's the stuff that people write about you. And that includes social media. So don't try to silo the two of those things.
Right.
Without social media, your content goes nowhere. I mean, that Moz study showed that. And without social media and you have nothing to say, nobody is going to engage with you. So they just have to be together.
And I don't want to be mean, but this will be the only time I drop an F-bomb. What the fuck is the difference between social media and content marketing? I'm sorry. I'm not singling people out here. Content marketing is this phrase that was invented so that people could market their agencies better. That is what it is there for. Just face it. Everything in marketing is content. If you're going to do social, you're doing content. If you're going to do content, whatever that means. I guess blog posts. Content marketing usually means crank out the blog posts. So if you're going to do blog post cranking, that is still content. If you're going to do answering comments, that is still content. So it's not an either or. You've got to have a content strategy in place to manage all forms of content that you're putting out there.
Okay, Perna, you need to go and get mic'd up, I'm afraid, for your talk, which is next. And then there were 3.
Did we extinguish a torch?
We're going to extinguish a torch, she said. No, we're not. So content strategy. So what kind of content plays well on social, and how should you design your content to play well on social?
Well, the biggest, I'm not going to say fad, because I mean that says it's going to go away, but video right now, it's probably, I'm not going to say the easiest, but it's definitely the one where the metrics are starting to get very interesting. For the past few years, we have seen how many people have seen it, we've seen how many have clicked on it. Now we're starting to see metrics about how long they stay on that piece of content, how long they're watching it on average, so you can figure out where people are just leaving, and you start to figure out how long is too long of a video for your particular audience, especially with the autoplay feature. I still kind of call bullshit on the 3 seconds thing, like Facebook and I think Twitter, they both have 3 seconds. They call it a view if it stayed on there for 3 seconds, but try to scroll through your feed and not like spend 3 seconds on one piece as it goes up. It's nearly impossible. Yeah, I mean, you post something, it's like you got 1,000 impressions, but 700 of them actually viewed it. It's like, no, I mean, I don't know. That stat's still kind of all over the place for me, but video, in my opinion, is what has taken over lately.
I would second video, and I also agree with the bullshit stats on the 3-second views. I mean, it's the same thing when you're buying like impressions on ad networks that Mike talked about, and they say things like, oh yeah, the reach was this and the impressions were that, and it's like that loaded in the background. I know that's a lie. So I would hesitate to rely on view stats as the be-all end-all, but video is super hot right now, and Facebook is basically giving it away, like 1 cent per video view. And so I have stats in my head actually from a recent video campaign that we ran. I think they said we had 1,200 views, 700 of them were actual legit, like longer than 10-second views. We got 300 clicks through to the piece of content, and I think the sale rate was actually something like 50% of people who clicked through and actually looked at it. Like, video is amazing. So again, as there's a lot of writers, and so we default to writing as presenting content, but that isn't necessarily the best consumption vehicle for your audience. Again, especially if you're going after a younger audience, they love videos.
Okay, another question. How do I show my boss return on investment after spending money on social media?
Say the first half of that.
How do I show my boss return on investment?
How long do you have? Because that's the real question. It's not whether there will be an ROI. It's the thing we usually run into as a client. We'll do something in social, and then 2 days later they're saying, well, where's the ROI? I'll start swearing again, so I'm just going to stop there. I don't know. Change over time is one of my favorite statistics, actually. You can track a lot from social, but one of the best ways to do it is to look and say, look, we started this social media campaign 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks later, our sales went up. There's nothing else explaining that. Please tell me what else did that. And then the other thing is you can also reverse that argument and say, look, it cost us $2,000 to run this social media campaign. All right, that other campaign you just ran was $200,000 or $20,000, or that Yellow Pages ad is costing you more than that every month.
In reputation.
Yeah, do you really want to be talking ROI? Because all we had to do was get 10 customers and this thing paid for itself. I know that's not a great thing to say to your boss, but it's going through my head with lots of F-bombs and stuff in it all the time, so.
Well, there are also, I've read about them, and I know that some of the major international brands have the opportunity to do this, but I've signed up for it. I'm still waiting to get access. It's called Atlas. I mean, there's a lot of partners that work with a ton of partners that work with Facebook, but Atlas in particular, if we're looking for an example, they have now a way to, a retailer, for instance, can upload their database of everyone who bought something this month. And then Facebook will say, we served 19 of those people your product ad this month. And we're talking to like offline sales here. We're directly now showing online ads to offline sales, and Facebook is now telling you exactly how many of those people they served an ad. They won't tell you which ones of those people. They won't tell you any of that, but they'll basically say, yeah, you did sell 67 things this month. Congratulations. 32 of those came from your Facebook ad campaign.
And I will say too, there's two parts to this. First off, I mean, we're not all fancy enough for Atlas, but you know, you can have, if you're a retailer, you can have a loyalty program, you can have a card or something, or ask for their email address or their phone number, and you zap it into the POS system when they buy a product, and then build that linkage between that and, say, your email database. Like the data is there. What we're really bad at is developing the linkages between the data so that it's all talking to each other. And the second part of that is get your boss used to the idea of multi-attribution funnels. And Annie Cushing had a great quote about that, and saying if you're not using multi-attribution funnels, and this is in 2014, it's like buying a football team and only paying the players who score. You know, and so that's a really, it's a good metaphor for people who think that the word multi-attribution funnel sounds really weird. And secondly, to give credit where credit is due is a very powerful idea when you're talking about budgets. So if you can use your multi-attribution funneling in Google Analytics to start to dig into where in the funnel specific channels tend to be, like a social top or a social bottom, maybe there's some email marketing in there, like get that nailed down, deal with your over-reporting of direct traffic, because we all have that. Marshall Simmons did a good talk on this at MozCon this year, if you buy the videos, and start to really get a sense of like how your sales funnel goes, and then what that means from a marketing perspective. And it means that you won't end up in the kind of situation that I heard about where a major hotel retailer decided that their PPC campaign wasn't doing anything for them, so they shut it off. And then they lost 20% of their reservations in a month, and they had to lay off a bunch of people.
Yeah, I don't want to take more time on this one, but just do a Google search on holdout testing. That's the other way to prove it.
So I'm desperate to poke the bear inside you, Ian. Why? Because you just, I don't know, there's something very enticing.
Do it.
Yeah, so I know this is a hot button for you, right? It's like we've so long for marketers said, we can prove it with data, digital marketers, we can prove it with data, we can prove it with data. We're hanging ourselves with that. And our customers are saying, well, every time now they're saying, give me, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? And they're not asking anyone else for the ROI, and that, I think, is what you're saying.
If all you do is look for directly measurable ROI, you are sucking out all the things that make marketing really work. You know, weird, useful, significant, storytelling, whatever you want to call it, we are not selling to computers. We are selling to people. People all respond differently. I know this is an idealistic thing, but this is why I like holdout testing, actually, because you can turn off part of a campaign, you know, and this is a great one to go to your boss to say, well, if you're not sure of the ROI, let's just turn that off. Let's see what happens. And usually they're like, oh, no, let's not do that. Yeah, I mean, look, marketing is not talking to computers, and it's not an immediate click-through thing, and it's complicated. And believe me, I know how frustrating it is to try to explain to your boss or your client how that works. It's happened to me a few times. But there is that assumption there. We have kind of trapped ourselves, and we have to slowly dig our way out of this premise that everything is measurable.
Okay. One final question. I'm going to paraphrase a little. I'm thinking about outsourcing my social media. Are there any advantages, if any? What should I do to make it work well?
Well, I work for an agency, so I'll go ahead and discuss what that means. I mean, where we are at VI, we have over 20 different digital specialties, whether it's SEO or PPC or display and all these things. And so what our clients see out of it whenever they do outsource their social, to an agency like ours is that they're able to ask questions that are bigger than social. So they don't have to hire someone specifically in all of those if they ever have questions and talk. But I think the communications between all of the marketing capabilities, at least to VI, is a lot more accessible.
Ask yourself one question. Can you approve and publish a post from your agency in less than 24 hours? That's it. If the answer is no, don't outsource it, because there is not enough antacid in the world for the people at the agency, and you will get zero benefit from it. Social media is not something where you can go through a 4-week legal and branding approval process. All right, either you're going to set the guidelines ahead of time and you're going to be able to do it, or you're not, and if you can't do it, take someone out to dinner, because it's going to be more productive.
I suggest asking yourself, similar to what Ian said, would you be okay with the agency that you hire posting something as your brand that you haven't read in advance, or you had no idea that it was going to be posted?
That's even scarier than what I was saying.
Yeah.
But.
Well, that's when we manage brands, we're like, okay, so sometimes we're going to post things and you won't know, and that's okay. So, are you feel okay right now in your chest?
We're too paranoid. We don't do that, but we do want. But that in return, we do want that very fast approval.
Yeah, and it's sometimes you can't, you don't have time to approve, or somebody's on vacation, or somebody has just flipped out on Twitter, and you have to deal with it, right? And so if it's not in-house, and even if it is in-house, like when we do social media strategies and train in-house teams, we have to say to them, look, you have to trust your social people that they're going to respond to this and they're going to do it right, because you can't be like, excuse me, I have to check with my boss before I get back to you. 10 minutes can be an eternity in the internet frenzy realm, and that could be too long. That could be going from a complaint to full out like, oh shit, the internet is here at your doorstep with the torches and pitchforks. So you have to be able to work quickly, and you have to be able to trust your team.
Okay, thank you, panel. That was wonderful.